Hi, happy March, everybody. I'm Sharon Colvin. I'm the Youth Services Consultant for the Department of Libraries here in Vermont, and I have a ton of books for you this month. I have some picture books, some nonfiction, some good stuff to prep you for National Poetry Month in April, and I have a huge stack of young adult. So I hope that this stuff interests you. So let me get it started. We'll start with picture books, and then I'll talk about some nonfiction, and then some middle grade books, and then YA. All right, first up is the glittery one. I had to review this one. It's sparkly, and it's about a cat. So if you have watched any of my videos, you will know that I love cats, and I can't resist anything with a cat or an elephant in it. So I had to read this. Plus, I love Sarah Weeks. She's just wonderful. So this story is about a cat. Much like Fancy Nancy is very fancy. Like, she doesn't go down the stairs. She descends. She doesn't stretch. She reclines. And she doesn't say meow. She says me because it's short and awesome. She's hysterical. And anyway, one day this goofy dog moves in. Look at the dog. I love the art. I think it's hysterical. So the goofy dog moves in and is trying to be more glamorous than her with all his frills and whatever, and she just can't handle it. And one day the dog has a fit and rips off all of his fancy clothes and is just tired of it. Anyway, they become friends. She teaches him how to become glamorous without all the frill, and he starts saying wow instead of bow wow because it's short and fabulous, and it's adorable, and they become friends in the end. It is short, it is silly, and the kids will love it. Look at that picture. Aww. And more importantly, I love it. So if you have some animal lovers in your story times, this is a good one to go for. Plus, who can resist the pink and the glitter? Not me. All right, next. This one's called Sweep Up the Sun. It's a book of poetry mostly. It's a picture book. But I want to show you this. The photography is absolutely stunning. It's birds. Look at that picture. And each page is another line of the poem. So if you wanted to, you could use this for story time, or if you wanted to, you could use this for a poetry unit for your older kids. Or there's actually information about the birds in the back, too. It's short, so you could read it in just a couple of minutes. And if you look here, there's information about the birds. So you could use it for a science unit, too, if you wanted to. The reading level of the nonfiction part is probably more elementary. But like I said, you could use this for a lot of different things. Plus, the photography is just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. So I think this could be a good purchase for Poetry Month, especially if you're in a school and you're planning on doing a lesson. But, you know, it could be good for story time, too. Totally up to you. All right. I think I was inspired to pick this one because of the wind last night. It's been terrible here. This is called When the Wind Blows, and it's by Linda Booth Sweeney. And I just think the art is fantastic. If you look at these pictures, look at those pictures. Aren't they beautiful? And now, it's very simple. Each page has a little a group of phrases. Screens bang, grandma sighs, jackets jumble, we fly. Strollers stroll, kites glide, bells clang, puppies hide. It's very sweet. It's, you know, there's not much plot here. It's mostly descriptive. But they go through their day, and then at the end, he takes a bath and gets all cuddled up, and they end up in bed, all cuddled up, ready for bedtime. It's very sweet. This would be wonderful for story time. Like I said, it's not huge on the plot, so if you have like an action-driven story time, they're probably not going to sit still for it. But it's very poetic, so maybe for the little ones. Very soothing. It has like a bedtime kind of spin in the end, so maybe for pajama story time. All right, now this one, Such a Little Mouse, is so flippin' cute. And I don't know what it is about this book that I love so much. The art is super clean and simple. It's about a little mouse. See how cute he is? And the art is just, it's really simple. There's very few lines on the page. Most pages are just simple pages like this with one or two lines. And then there's some with the little panels. And what happens is that he has every morning in spring, and then every morning in summer, and then every morning in fall. And of course, he's starting to collect things. And he has friends, and here you go, every morning in autumn, and you can see what he's doing. He's collecting things, and you can see there's cutaways inside his little burrow, and you can see what he's collecting. And then all of a sudden, people start talking about winter. Winter is coming, and then instead of going about his business, he goes back into his burrow and he cooks goodness with all the things that he's collected. He bakes acorn bread, and he makes soup out of seeds and watercress. And then he snuggles under the blanket with a book. I mean, how sweet is that? And then he, of course, he hibernates until spring. So it's an adorable story, a really good little lesson about the seasons, about hibernation, and about collecting. But it's just a really cute, kind of sweet, inspiring story. Could be good for story time. All right, believe it or not, that's all I have for picture books. But I do have a poetry book. This I wouldn't classify as a picture book at all. It's actually really heavy. This is called The Death of a Hat, A Brief History of Poetry in 50 Objects. When I looked at this title, I was like, what is this? I have no idea. And then I read the introduction, and which I highly recommend that you do if you buy this book. And basically what they wanted to do was cover the history of poetry from the early Middle Ages back in the 400 to present day with poetry that's about an object. And one of the things they were saying was that the challenge is that in the past, poetry wasn't usually written about an object. Usually it was, very theological or philosophical, but not about an object. So it was a challenge. So there's a huge introduction, and then you'll see each page is a poem, and they go from the obscure to the famous. Of course, they go in chronological order, and there is this beautiful watercolor art. You'll see, like, Rumi is in there, of course, in his place in history in the High Middle Ages. A little later, you'll see Edgar Allan Poe in the Victorian ages. These are famous poems. Robert Louis Stevenson, Carl Sandburg. As it gets, Pablo Neruda. So, like, Pablo Neruda's page is bigger. So each of these poems is about an object. And I think the point of this book is to kind of compare. Now, I'm not a poetry expert, but it is kind of interesting just at a first glance to see even the length of the poems from the early Middle Ages to present day. But I think this could be a really good book to have in your schools for April, for Poetry Month. This could be a really good book just to grab a couple of books, poetry poems for read-alouds. It could be good for a lesson. It could be good for an analysis. It's very accessible, and it's an interesting collection. It's probably something you don't have already. So it's worth a look if you need some poetry books. Good ones to take a look at. All right, I have, this is also, this is nonfiction, and I would not call it a picture book either. It's actually rather dense, but it's really, really wonderful. It's called, it's about Wangari Maathai, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2005, and she was amazing. She lived in Kenya, of course, when women did not have a lot of rights. And these gorgeous pictures, sorry, at the end of the day, I'm starting to lose it. Gorgeous, gorgeous arts. And the whole thing, it's a little on the dense side, which is why I hesitate to call it really a picture book. I mean, the pictures are beautiful, but it's very dense, and the reading level is more elementary. And the whole story is about, her struggle, how she was sent, JFK invited a group of Kenyans to go to the United States to go to school, and she did, and she studied veterinary sciences, and she got her PhD. She was the first West African woman to ever get her PhD, which is just amazing. And then she started to worry about the trees, and they were being cut down, and deforestation was a huge problem in Kenya. And so she created this project called the Green Belt and tried to get people to plant trees. And of course, it was a huge struggle, and she eventually started fighting for women's rights and for democracy as well. This is a picture of her here. So the whole thing, it's a story with illustrations, and then the last part of the book is it's straight up nonfiction with photos. Here's a timeline of her life. She passed away a few years ago, I think in 2011. And then there's some interesting information about Kenya, which I think could be helpful to you if you're doing a lesson on Africa. There's a ton of stuff about deforestation. There's pictures of her. There's quotations from her Nobel speech. If a child is really interested in this, they could definitely look up and read the rest of it. So you can use it a couple of different ways. You can use it as a story. You could read this to an elementary classroom. I don't know. It's not maybe the most exciting read aloud ever. But maybe to your older classes. The pictures are fabulous, like I said, and then there's a ton of nonfiction information in the back. Plus, she's one of those amazing, just amazing people that we don't talk a lot about. And I think if you're missing some of that African history or women's history, this could be a good addition to your collection. So take a look at that one. All right, that's it I have for the picture book size books. I do have one more nonfiction though, also elementary. So if you know me at all, you know I love baseball. The Red Sox season is just the highlight of my life. This book is fantastic. It's basically a kid's guide to baseball, and it's written in a very interesting way. It's written in prose, so it can be read just like a novel. And if you see, I don't know if you can see, each chapter is kind of a different topic. Or like an issue in baseball. So there's a chapter on Babe Ruth, there's a chapter on Jackie Robinson, there's a chapter on the 1914 Boston Braves, there's a chapter on the 2004 Boston Red Sox World Series. There's all kinds of stuff in here, and there's also these lists that I think the kids are just going to eat up. So there's a top 10 list, the 1960 World Series, top 10, and it's, you know, these little factoids and trivia. If you have kids in your schools or in your libraries who are little trivia experts on baseball or sports, this is the book for you. And because it's written in prose, I think it could be like a little gateway book for kids who are reluctant to read novels, but who are interested in baseball. So it's not terribly long, but like I said, each chapter has a different little topic. It's written by a sports journalist, very accurate, and I think the kids will love it. So definitely look into this. All right, moving on to the novels. You ready? All right, the first one I'm going to talk about is this one. I can't pronounce the author's name, but she wrote Inside Out and Back Again, which I adored. It was a Newbery Honor book a couple years ago. Wonderful, wonderful story. This book is a little different. It's about a girl named Mai. She's 12 years old, and she's one of those perfect students. And the one thing is, though, her family's from Vietnam, and she's never known that part of her. She doesn't know the culture. She doesn't know her family. So her family decides to send her there for the summer to learn about her family and her culture, and she's not happy about it. I know, old story, but I trust this author. I bet this author has tackled this valiantly, because she's just an amazing author. Her previous book was written in poetry. This one's written in prose. It's not terribly long, though, and it could get some good attention by your reluctant readers. Like I said, the story doesn't seem like it's terribly new, but it got wonderful reviews, so I have high hopes for this one. It's definitely on my reading list. All right, this one I'm very excited about. It's called Roller Girl, and I'm excited about it for two reasons. Number one, roller derby, I think, is a fantastic topic for a middle grade novel. It's very much like girl power. The other thing is, it is illustrated and written very much like Smile and Sisters, which I think is going to make your kids very happy. It's a little chunkier than those books, but it's about a girl who she and her best friend are kind of, you know, they're separating, they're going their different ways with different interests, and she gets really into roller derby, and her best friend gets really into dance. So it's about that struggle, you know, between friends, and can we still be friends if we're not doing the same things anymore? And there's, of course, a lot of roller derby in it, and the illustrations are fun. I can't wait to read this one, and I'm not a comic reader. I'm not a graphic novel reader at all, but I think this one's going to be wonderful. So if you have fans of Smile and Sisters in your library, definitely pick this one up. It's going to get a lot of attention. All right, this is a gorgeous book. It's called The Imaginary. It's an absolutely stunning, just look at the cover. It's beautiful. And you'll see the side. It's got that funky page ends. It's illustrated. There are some pages that have some deeply disturbing pictures. It kind of has like a Coraline kind of feel to it. So definitely not for your young kids. And then it's got some full color pictures that are really stunning. And so this story is about a girl named Amanda and her imaginary friend named Rutger. Now, it's kind of a funny way to start a book. But what happens is that this mysterious man named Mr. Bunting shows up, and he is an imaginary killer. He kills imaginaries. So he is hunting Rutger, and so he's hunting this imaginary friend, and he's trying to save his life. And, of course, Amanda's by herself. I think this could be a really interesting adventure story. Also, an interesting take on the whole imaginary friend thing and what's real and what's imaginary. It got rave reviews in the journal, so I definitely would pick this one up because I think it's going to get a lot of popularity. So that's a must buy. This one just looks sweet, called Lucky Strike. It's about a kid who's very unlucky, one of those kids who never gets picked for anything, never wins anything, kind of an outcast. He has a best friend his name is Genesis, and his name is Nate. His best friend's name is Genesis. And Genesis is also an outcast, very sciencey, logic, doesn't believe in luck. But then one day, Nate gets struck by lightning. And he survives, and all of a sudden his luck changes, and now the popular kids want to hang out with him. He gets picked for everything, and this good stuff starts happening to him. But the problem is, where does his best friend fit into this? Because he's no longer an outcast. I think this has. I'm optimistic about this book. I think it's going to be good. I like the topic of outcasts and what does it mean to be lucky, and what does it mean to be popular, and what does it mean to be an outcast. I think this could be really good, and it's at that nice level, that kind of DCF kind of level. So it could be a good one. Check it out. All right, now we're getting to some older stuff. This book here looks really interesting. It's called The Honest Truth. It's about a kid who is sick. He's very, very sick, and on one of his items on his bucket list is to climb Mount Rainier. And so he does. He runs away, and he goes with his camera and his dog and his notebook, and he just goes. Now, his best friend knows about it, but isn't sure whether to tell his family that where he's gone, because, you know, she really wants him to do what he wants to do before he dies. And so it's told in alternative perspectives. It's a tough topic, but it got fabulous reviews. It's an interesting story, that kind of combination of adventure and the tough topic stuff. So, and it's short, so it should be a good quick read. I definitely have this one on my reading list. I love these kind of books. All right. Can I just tell you, I can't wait till DCF selection's over so that I can read all of these. All right, here's another disturbing one. Are you ready? This one's called The Distance Between Lost and Found. I know, look at that dark cover. All right, so this is about a girl. Her name is Aurélia. And there was a mysterious incident with a kid named Luke, and because of that, she's being bullied mercilessly. And this is, just horrendous. So now she's on a youth retreat in the Smoky Mountains, and she's being just relentlessly bullied. And so she's on this group hike, and she and a group of kids get separated. And now all of a sudden they have to figure out how to get home, and they have to work together. Again, it's another one of those like issue books, the bullying, but with the adventure aspect thrown in. I don't know. It could be really good. Definitely on my list. All right. This one's a little bit lighter. The Wrong Side of Right. I think that this book is going to be popular for the kids of the parents who are watching House of Cards and all those political dramas that are on right now. So it's about a girl who, her mom dies. She's now doesn't have a family, and then she finds out, seriously, that this powerful politician is her father. And so she is now on the campaign trail with him, and he's running for president, and he has this family, and so, she's all part of it now. But the problem is she doesn't agree with all of his campaign platform. And so it was billed as a romance, but also kind of a political drama, and obviously there's a lot of complicated family stuff. It's a thick book, but I think it could be a nice, fun read for your middle school, high school kids. All right, this book has gotten rave reviews. Now, I don't know. I mean, obviously it got rave reviews, so people love it. I haven't read it yet. And it's one of those road trip books. So it's about a kid who has moved from Ohio to the wastelands of Mississippi, and then she finds out that her mom's really sick, so she wants to go back. So she hops on a Greyhound bus and has this adventure. It's described as, what's the word they use? Kaleidoscopic. So I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of quirky characters in here. And of course the whole road trip thing. Kids, it sounds like a really good summer book. Your high school kids and middle school kids really like those road trip kind of escape books. And like I said, it got rave reviews, so I can't wait to read it. Speaking of rave reviews, if you are a fan of YA literature, I know you've been waiting to get a hold of this one. Read Between the Lines is a book of short stories. I've heard it's fantastic. I cannot read it until I finish my DCF reading, and I can't wait. I will tell you that Aiden has read it and loved it. I cannot wait to tear through it, and I promise as soon as I read it, I will give it away to one of you lucky people. So this, Jo Knowles is a local author. If you don't know her, she's phenomenal. Really, really popular young adult author. You should just read it. You have to own her stuff if you're in Vermont. You just have to. Well, if you're YA, in YA business at all, you should own it. All right. This one here, beautiful cover, Under a Painted Sky. This book here, it takes place in Missouri in 1849. And it's about a family that is traveling the Oregon Trail. And I grew up in California, so we learned about the Oregon Trail. So I was kind of, this setting is fascinating to me. So she is Chinese, and she's a girl, and it's 1849, which is not a great combination as far as rights go. But she really wants to travel to New York and become a professional musician. And so, it's going to be an adventure, and it sounds phenomenal. I cannot wait to dig into this one. Plus, the Oregon Trail is not in an area that fiction is often set in. And I kind of miss that, like, wagon trail adventure stories from my childhood. So I think this one could be good. I can't wait to read that one. All right, two more. You ready? We're getting darker. I'm sorry. I know. Kevin Brooks has done it again. He writes the most disturbing stuff, and the kids eat it up. This is definitely a high school book, and if you have Kevin Brooks fans, you're just going to have to buy it. It's about a kid who is kidnapped, and he's in this bunker, and this is his diary, and the thing is that he's no idea what's going to happen and how the heck he's going to get out. And so in Kevin Brooks fashion, I'm guessing there's not a lot of explanation, and I've heard it's really creepy and scary and gruesome, and probably a lot scarier to us adults than to the kids. But if you have those hardcore YA, horror fans, definitely pick this one up. I don't know if I can read it. Well, maybe just during the day. All right, the last one. This one I really, really want to read. If for no other reason than the cover is really cool. Yes, I do judge books by their covers. It's called Bone Gap by Laura Ruby. This story is also about a kidnapping. Again, as I told you, dark. And so she's been kidnapped, and she's in Oregon, and she has no idea who kidnapped her, and she's been released. She's gone through horrible things, and her friend Finn was the only witness, but didn't see who kidnapped her, so was racked with guilt about that. And so this whole story is about, the forgiveness and the healing process of this. And I don't know what the bee has to do with anything, but I can't wait to read it. It is my listen up queue. I cannot wait. All right. That's all I have for you today. I hope that my stack was so big it fell down on itself. All right, thank you for watching. Here's my contact information. If you ever have any questions, comments, ideas, please let me know. I'm happy to answer all your questions or comments. And that's all I have until April. So let's hope that next time I do a recording, some of this white stuff has gone away. Take a